Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Chase, episode 18. I am your host, Chase. If you're a returning listener, thank you very much for joining me for another lovely episode. If you're a new listener, thank you very much for clicking on this very episode, sitting down, and listening to my nonsense. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button, depending on which platform you use to consume the show. The show is available on both Spotify and YouTube. And make sure you click on the prompts on both platforms to be notified every time I upload a new episode. Oh, wait. You're telling me you already did that? So there was no need to remind you. Well, that was awkward. But thank you for being one step ahead of the game and one step ahead of me. And with that, let's get right into the show.
What's up, dude? Excited. Dude, sir. Shh. This is a library. Dude. Dude. How done?
What's up, dude and dudettes? How's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys have been enjoying these little funny intros I've been doing the past couple episodes, but I don't know, I find it to be very amusing, and I know people always need a little laugh here and there, but I mean, I hope you guys like those going forward. I hope to incorporate them occasionally, every once in a while, but I hope you guys do enjoy them. But I wanted to tell you guys about a quick little story that happened to me these past couple of days. Now, this is something that really grinds my gears. Now, I'm talking exactly like the episode of Family Guy where Peter got a job with the news doing a segment called What Grinds My Gears. Now, this may seem like a first world problem or something I shouldn't really worry about, but this is what grinds my gears. When, I go to a certain restaurant that I know never disappoints me, but it has been so disappointing the past couple weeks or past couple trips I've made, and it's so frustrating and disappointing because I know when I go to this restaurant that they have such a simplistic menu and it really never changes. And when I go there, I know exactly what I'm getting, exactly how it's supposed to taste, exactly how it's done. And so I know typically what I'm going to get. And so this past visit I made to this restaurant, I went with my girlfriend. Now, for a period of time, we would always go to this restaurant just because we know A, it was cheap, B, it was affordable, C, the food is delicious, and D, we know exactly what we're getting. But when I say this time, the food was so disappointing and so under prepared and undercooked that for the first time I actually complained to the waitress / manager, and I sound like a real Karen right now, but when I tell you that this is the first time I've ever done this is the first time I've ever done this. And I always feel terrible for waiters and waitresses when people complain and they're furious and going in on the waitresses and waiters like it's their job to cook the food when they just run it back and forth from the kitchen to the table. And I typically know how this system goes because my degree is in hospitality, and it's in hospitality management. So I generally know the process from point A to point B when it comes to cooking food to sending it out to the table. And when I tell you, I try to like wrap my head around what was going on at this establishment on this particular day. Now, it was genuinely busy. I'm like, okay, there's some understanding there as to why the food may be undone or undercooked, but there should be the process in place of temping the food, and then what is it called, the runner checking the food once again to make sure it's okay to send out. And I don't know what happened in this process that this particular piece of food went out and it was so undercooked. Okay, and to put it bluntly, I'm talking about Applebee's. Okay, I know I genuinely love Applebee's and the food, but the past couple visits have been very off-putting, and I'm just like, oh, like I really don't want to come here again, but I know I'm going to come there again because it's affordable. But me and my girlfriend generally get the 2 for $20. I believe that's the big special at Applebee's and what they're really known for. And so, we always get our typical items. I always get a burger. My girlfriend always gets either the sirloin or something, or the Fiesta Lime chicken or whatever it's called. But this time she was really feeling the steak because, we haven't been out lately due to COVID, and, we needed a little time to ourselves, a little time out. So we're like, okay, yeah, we'll go to Applebee's because we know it's affordable. We know what we're going to get, so on and so forth, like I've explained previously. But, my girlfriend asked for the steak to be well done. So genuinely, it's going to be done with just a little pink on the inside. So we got our food. We started eating. And my burger was fine. It tasted just fine, cooked right. And when I tell you, my girlfriend cut into the steak, and it was so underdone that I swore it was still like bleeding. And, she's not the one to really complain because we both have prior experience in the food industry, and we know genuinely what it's like, what the typical day is, what it's like when things get busy and there's a big rush. And so we really don't like to complain about food because we know the process and we know typically what goes on. But right now at that moment, I'm like, I need you to stop eating this, put down your fork and knife, and say something. Because even I know, hopefully, I hopefully know, typically know when food is properly done and when it's not. And I was furious. No, I wasn't furious, but I'm like, you need to stop eating right now. You need to shut this operation down. I sound like Gordon Ramsay in his show 24 Hours to Hell and Back, I believe it's called. He's always just like, stop. Put your forks and knives down. I'm shutting this establishment down right now. But yeah, it was like, when it's like you typically go to restaurants and you know exactly what you're going to get, exactly how you get your food ordered and all that good stuff. But like, when you receive something that's so not what you asked for, I think that's the question. It's like severely disappointing. But we said something. They corrected the issue, but it was still like the matter of fact, like, hey, yeah, this is fine to go out. This is what that person ordered, okay? But yeah, I mean, it's a stupid issue, but that's what really grinds my gears is when you go to a restaurant that you know never disappoints you, and you know genuinely what you're going to get, how much you're going to pay for it, and everything like that. But yeah, there goes my rant for this week. But yeah, about Applebee's. I actually interned there when I was in college. And this was around, I believe, 2015 to 2016. So yes, I've been out of school for over 4 years now. And I absolutely hated with a passion my internship there at Applebee's. Because A, they never showed me how to do my job properly. They expected me to learn on the fly, and I know genuinely that sometimes that's how restaurants work, is you have to learn on the fly because it's a fast-paced, ever-changing industry that can change at the drop of a dime. But I'm not the type of person that can learn through a computer screen, and that's honestly how they expected me to learn and how to properly cook food, do all that good stuff. But I need to learn, like, in the physical tense, like, I learn from people that show me how to do things. That's how I learn the best. I know there's a certain phrase or verbiage that you can use for that, but I'm not the type of person that can sit down, watch, read, or, do something like that. I can't learn properly from that stuff. But my internship lasted, I believe, a semester of school. I had to do that my final semester, and that took, I forget how many hours I had to do. I want to say maybe 100 hours unpaid. And it was horrible. Absolutely horrible because, like I said, they never showed me how to do my job properly. And there were so many eventful things that honestly happened. And I am so astounded because, like, I've seen people get arrested. I've seen, like, verbal fights break out between chefs, but yeah, that's a typical restaurant. They're like, chefs yell at each other when food has to go out. But like I've seen people get arrested. I've seen people smoke weed in the coolers. But yeah, jobs never properly done. Like, it was a complete shit show. But you live and you learn. Honestly, I wouldn't trade a thing because I wouldn't be where I am today without going through these very rough patches doing this internship. Like, it was genuinely horrible. And after my internship at Applebee's, I worked there. Like, I worked there for a very brief period of time. I think I worked there for approximately 6 months, and I don't know why I did that, to be honest, because I think I was at the height of my depression, and working in a place that isn't great for you, isn't proper, like, you don't feel comfortable even going to work. Honestly, I was not excited to go to work at all every single day. I was miserable. I was sad. I was depressed. I mean, I worked in restaurants because I thought that's what I wanted to do. Because growing up, I didn't really have that figure there to show me what to do or to model my life by. And so, I had my uncle, and he was really the one I wanted to model my life after because, I thought he was the coolest person ever. Like, he seemed so happy cooking, and I wanted to be just like him. And so I'm like, yeah, like that's my field, and that's the industry I want to go into. But I mean, sometimes you have to live and you learn. you have to go through these little rough moments that help you figure out if that's the thing you want to do or not. And, I hit that moment going through this, and, I immediately realized, like, even during my internship, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it was that off-putting that I realized within the matter of maybe a couple of weeks, like, bingo, don't want to do this anymore. And I don't even want to work in the hospitality industry anymore. And it's kind of upsetting because I invested a couple years of my life to this industry, getting my degree, going that far as to finishing, and then reaching this moment during my internship, after I got my degree, starting working there. Like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And yes, to the listener, I mean, if you ever reach that moment in life, like, yeah, that's completely normal and totally fine. And don't ever be afraid to sit down and realize, like, yeah, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And that's the moment I reached. And, having my degree, I'm like, okay, like, I have this and I always have this to rely on, but I knew then and there, working at Applebee's, going into the cooler and sometimes the freezer, needing a moment to really, like, escape during work and a moment to cry. but yeah, like, I couldn't stand it. And when something is, like, putting you off and offsetting you, and it's not healthy for you, you need to make that decision. Don't sit somewhere that's so uncomfortable, in some place you're not comfortable working, and putting yourself through the ringer consistently, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Find something you want to do and put forth every foot, every effort, every step to do that one thing you love. Because even back then in 2015, 2016, I knew, like, in the back of my mind, I wanted to do a podcast. I wanted to voice my opinion, help somebody, and, figure out what I really want to do in life. And even though it did take me 4 years to really start this, like, back then, I was always just putting it off, like, oh, you can't do that, or, oh, that's not achievable, stop thinking about it, or, oh, you can't do that. But yes, 4 years later, I am so genuinely happy now that I'm doing this, finding an outlet to express myself, and just genuinely being happy. And knowing I can help you, the listener, or if I'm even helping a second, helping you finding an outlet to, like, express yourself, to feel free to escape for half an hour at a time. Like, that's what genuinely makes me happy. And to know you're sitting down and listening to me talk right now, word for word, horribly explaining the story. But it means genuinely the world to me, and I can't thank you enough for that. But after this, I think, almost 20-minute monologue right now to open the show, I mean, I'm sorry it took this long, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And, without further ado, let's get right into the show. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys at the end. I love you guys. I will talk to you very soon. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Coffee with Chase. I'm once again joined by our most concurring guest, Liam. Liam, how does it feel to be back on Coffee with Chase?
Hi, it feels great. I love coming on the show. I always have a good time.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. At least that makes somebody. But I tried to have you on last week, but You are ever so elusive and a very busy man, but luckily I tracked you down and caught you for at least 10 minutes. But I wanted to have you on to talk a little about fantasy football.
Okay.
My thought was, when I had you on last week, that I was going to be in the fantasy football playoffs, but turns out I suck at fantasy football and I didn't make the playoffs.
You came very close, though, for the record.
Yeah, that's right. I did come very close, but no cigar. And I just missed the cut. But everything happens for a reason. And it turns out this week you are playing our other buddy, Jamie, who was our next guest on the show. And it just so happens to be the semifinals in fantasy football.
That's right.
So what do you think is going to happen this week? And do you think you're going to beat Jamie?
I will officially, on the record, say that I am nervous. I don't think that I'm going to win. Jamie, I think, has bigger stars. He has more, like, number one type players, and they have better matchups than my players. That I don't think that I'm doomed. I think I'm going to put up a fight and I have a chance, but ultimately I think that Jamie's going to win. But off the record, when you speak to Jamie, you should tell him that I think I'm going to win, and tell him that I'm not scared at all. You got to play the mind games.
I will deliver to him a Hulkamania style promo for you. I will tell him you're going to stomp his face in the mud and laugh at him while you're doing it.
That's perfect. I appreciate it.
Is that fair enough?
That's good, yeah. We'll keep the fact that I think I'm going to lose between you and I.
I believe you're going to win because, as we stated a few weeks ago in episode 13, Coffee with Friends, which is your first time on the show, that we were trade partners a lot. No, just once, but we traded multiple players, and I just so happen to think that your team is stacked with all of my players.
Now wait, remind me who we traded. It was 3 for 3?
Yeah, I believe they were really nobodies, but I did trade you Cole Beasley and Mike Davis. And it turns out that Mike Davis took the starting spot from McCaffrey because McCaffrey's been out every single week.
Mike Davis has been very clutch, and I think he's going to help. If I have any chance, I think that he's going to go off this week. So I appreciate you sending Mike Davis my way. Cole Beasley, I don't think I can use him playing against Denver. I'm conflicted about my lineup. No. But thank you for Mike Davis for sure.
Oh, of course. But we will get into that later because the Bills play Denver this weekend. But I wanted to ask you something. What does fantasy football mean to you?
Well, mostly for me, fantasy football is a hobby, a pastime that I enjoy. I will say, though, that this year especially, I'm missing our drafts, because normally in early September we will get together, and it's an opportunity to see some of my friends that I don't normally see very often otherwise during the year. So this year, maybe it means a little bit more to me because I'm missing that. I'm missing, an opportunity to be together with some of my close friends. So maybe this year I'm missing a little bit more. This year it means a little bit more, but yeah. Overall, it's just something that I enjoy to do.
The same here because, for people that don't play fantasy football or people that do, it really brings you closer to your friends and loved ones, depending on who you play with. Maybe even coworkers, who knows? But it gives you that competitive edge and competitive spirit, and you get to harp on each other, week to week, and just go back and forth. And I think it just all around makes for a fun time. And like you said, it sucks because COVID happened this year, and we really missed the opportunity to get together, have a fun time, get pizza and wings, and just enjoy each other's company. But since we can't have gatherings of 10 or more people, and it is dangerous, we just couldn't do that this year, and hopefully we can do it next year.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
Oh, I know. I mean, I miss hanging out with everybody, and as the listeners know, for our next guest, we have one of our best friends, Jamie, on, and he is your opponent this week, but he is usually one of the people that joins us for our fantasy drafts, and we always harp on each other and go back and forth, but like I said, it's just overall good time to spend with friends. But for the listeners, are you a Bills fan?
Absolutely.
And my question to you is, because we're in the Christmas spirit, and Christmas is legit next week, which is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Josh Allen is a star or an angel that goes atop a Christmas tree?
I think that Josh Allen is both. And actually, as you know, Chase, my roommate actually made Josh Allen the star of our own Christmas tree. So he actually is the star on top of my Christmas tree. But he's both a star and an angel because, he's playing out of his mind this year. But he's also an angel because he cares about the community, and he does a lot of, he has a lot of impact in the community with the fundraising that he's done and other things like that.
You're damn right, because we have harped and needed a quarterback for so long, and it is a cherry on top that he is doing so much for our community. He is so handsomely beautiful and such a great quarterback that he's both. And, like I included before, the Bills play the Denver Broncos this weekend. Primetime game on Saturday, 4:30 p.m. in Denver. My question to you is, do you think the Bills are going to beat Denver this weekend?
In the NFL, no game is a given. It's a week-to-week league, and any team can win on any week. But that being said, with the Bills coming off of such an incredible win against a very good Pittsburgh team with a very good record, I feel confident that the Bills are going to win on Saturday. I am not worried about it, is how I'll say it.
So what you're essentially saying is the Bills will blow out Denver, make their way through the playoffs, and lead us to our first Super Bowl.
You know what? Put me on the record that is what I think. I was very impressed with the way that they came out in the second half against Pittsburgh, and that's the first time that I actually felt like maybe they're Super Bowl contenders this year.
They have been a Super Bowl contender since week 1. Everybody in Buffalo believes the Bills are the future Super Bowl champions.
I very much hope so. It would be fun to see.
And with that, Liam, I want to thank you again very much for joining me once again on Coffee with Chase.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me. It's always fun. I always enjoy coming on.
And I just want to let you know you are one very handsome man.
Right back at you.
You have a voice like Neil deGrasse Tyson, like Morgan Freeman.
Oh wow, that's a pretty high compliment. Thank you.
Anyways, man, I just want to thank you again. I will text you soon. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let me know. Yeah.
Right. Sounds good, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chase. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone. I'm sorry to butt in here, but I noticed after listening back to the audio that in the first interview with Liam, there is some audio interference from my TV because I'm listening to Home Alone as I was talking to him. So the music that you hear in the background is from Home Alone. And before we get into the second interview, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up. There is some audio interference. You will hear some like reverberation from my audio, I believe. So you will hear me say what I'm saying, and then you will hear it a second time very silently, I think. But I just want to give everyone the quick heads up. And without further ado, let's get right into the second interview with my friend Jamie. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will meet you at the end of that interview. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm joined by one of my two guests. He is our Vince McMahon to our fantasy football league. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my best friend Jamie to the show. Jamie, how does it feel to be on Coffee with Chase?
It feels great to be on, Chase. I love listening to it. I'm very happy to finally be on.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But as the listeners just heard, I just got off the call with Liam, your opponent this week in the championship semifinal in our fantasy football league. Now, if you don't mind, give me your brief predictions, let's say, for this week.
Oh, there's no prediction needed. I'm going to beat Liam just like I did right before playoffs.
Whoa.
I'm going to beat him without a doubt.
Wow. Unbelievable. Because this man told me just prior to this that he will stomp your face in the mud and run the floor with you.
Wow, that's some harsh words coming from Liam, especially because I just beat him 2 weeks ago.
Now, the fantasy projections have you at a 60% advantage to win. Do you believe that plays into any factor into this week?
No, I have the best team, and I'm predicted to win almost every week. I'm not surprised, and I'm going to win just like I do almost every week.
Now, that is very ballsy, because I had beat you twice this season, the first week and 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was to determine who made the fantasy playoffs. Was I not correct?
You are correct. But, if you really want to go into it, my team already made it by then. And, out of the two of us, you may have hit me on some bad weeks, where I, just barely didn't make it to 100. Mm-hmm. Some real tough weeks. I don't want to say anything about your team, but, they also didn't score very well either. Just I had some off weeks.
That just stung just a little bit, because I won when I had to, but it still didn't matter because I suck at fantasy football, and that's why I missed out on the playoffs, the deciding win last week, and I missed it. I lost.
Yeah, that was a rough one for you.
I'm so upset because the listeners don't know that our league title is called 8 Geniuses and 4 Idiots. And my thought this whole time was that 8 people make the playoffs. So my thought in week 13 was that, I'm in the 6th seed, I'm comfortable, I got my fantasy spot secured. And little did I know that only 6 people make it, and because I lost in week 13, I got booted out of the playoffs.
Yeah, the title was just for the new people who didn't know, and since me and you've been playing for years, I expected you to already know that. But you do fit in one of the 2 categories. I'll let you and your fans determine which.
I mean, I like to believe I fit into the genius category, but once again,
I just want to a quick recap of the fact you just said you don't know how many teams make the playoffs.
I mean,
just remember that when you're classifying yourself.
But for the listeners, I would have thought that 8 people make the playoffs, right?
No.
I mean,
for anyone who's played fantasy before, you yourself, should know that only 6 do.
I was just being hopeful. All right, I got to be optimistic. But after week 13 happened, I was a little salty because I thought there was some collusion against me to not make the fantasy playoff. And you subsequently told me there was no chance in hell. And for the wrestling fans out there, you will get that reference because I called you the Vince McMahon of our league.
That's so funny. Someone else that's in our league, his name's Nick, asked me in week 13, I think he won week 13, and he's 4 and something, and he's like, so since I won, I'm going to be in the playoffs, right? And I told him the same exact thing. There's no chance in hell you're making the playoffs. There was no chance in hell you're making the playoffs 4 weeks ago.
Shit. I mean,
Yeah.
to begin the season, I would have thought I was making the fantasy playoffs because my team was phenomenal. Was I right?
I mean, you did beat me week 1, but again, that was my second worst week besides the other week that you beat me.
That's true. But I just made so many dumb decisions and dumb fantasy moves that I ultimately screwed myself over.
Well, that's how fantasy works.
You live and you learn, right?
Yeah, you'll do better next year.
Yeah, there's always next year, but I want to ask you, what does fantasy football mean to you?
Something that I can look forward to every week. I love football, so it just adds something to the games I don't care about. There's nothing like cheering for a certain player, even, I don't know, Cincinnati and Baltimore, and you're caring about those games is just really cool to me.
Yeah, I feel you. And, I was just talking to Liam, and he really, said something that really opened my mind and my thought, is that, this time of year when fantasy football rolls around, friends and just family get to reconnect through fantasy football, and just, there's that, attitude and back and forth, just fun chitter chatter and fun banter with each other, and just it's all around a fun thing for, loved ones to do, friends to do, it's just a good time all around. Am I right?
I couldn't agree more, Chase.
It creates that fun competitive edge. That's what I was trying to say.
No, I get what you're saying, bud. And it gets people together that normally wouldn't get together.
That's very true. And, it's just, if I would have made the playoffs,
this would be a different podcast.
This would be a whole different podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
That is very true.
Yeah, you could have been talking about you and me this time, and you would have tried to beat me for a third straight time. Thank God that I'm not facing you.
You just keep throwing salt in the wound.
Look, I'm just saying.
It hurts.
You were my kryptonite all season long.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I mean, out of my 3 losses, you are 2 of them.
That is very true. And for the listeners that don't know, are you a Bills fan?
Oh, I'm a huge Bills fan.
And my question to you, because we're around the winter season, is that do you think Josh Allen is a star, an angel, or both that would go atop a Christmas tree?
I mean, it would have to be a pretty big-ass Christmas tree, but I would say both. I mean, who wouldn't love to look at that man all Christmas season?
You're damn right. He is so handsome and beautiful.
I mean, he's no Aaron Rodgers, but yeah.
Oh, and for the listeners, he is a Green Bay Packers fan as well. Oh.
It looks like we might get a dream Super Bowl. It might be fantastic.
I mean, it very well could be this year. Hopefully.
Couldn't even imagine.
Fingers crossed.
Can you imagine having this conversation a year ago? Or even 2 years ago?
No, I wouldn't believe it whatsoever.
I know. What do you think about that Steelers game now that we're on the Bills?
Very shocking, but yet very earned. The Bills deserved that win to really solidify themselves in the playoff hunt and solidify themselves as a contender across all platforms, across all, football analysts that doubted the Bills every step of the way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And, because the Bills play this Saturday in another primetime game, if you don't mind, can you give me your predictions for this Saturday at 4:30 against the Denver Broncos?
Come on. No, we should easily beat Denver. Probably by at least 14 points.
14 points is a little ballsy, but I respect that because Denver has not been doing anything this season. Anything worth noting, at least.
Yeah.
But you can never take those opponents lightly because you will get those opponents every once in a while, and they will deliver on all cylinders and surprise us. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully not. But yeah, I get what you're saying. They've been real hurt with injury this season.
I know. So the Bills should hopefully have a clean ride into the playoffs and into winning their first AFC East title in I don't even know how long. Ever since we were born, really.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been almost 25 years.
Yeah.
That is hard to listen to and hard to say.
Yeah, but we get to watch the first win, and that's what we're looking forward to.
You're damn right, and hopefully we get to see the Bills make the playoffs, make the Super Bowl, and square off against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, think about this, buddy. You know, if we take that number 2 seed, we could be home through the entire playoffs without a fan there. That's crazy.
Oh God, that hurts to say because of course this is all happening when fans can't make the games and can't join the Bills along this crazy run we've been having.
Yeah, yeah, we would be having fun.
No, that's for sure. Man, I just want to thank you once again for joining me on, the show, talking a little fantasy football. Hopefully, I'm sorry things were a little different and I didn't make the playoffs, but, I just appreciate you joining me for this little talk we've had. And, I hope, you can win this week in fantasy football. And, I just want to thank you again for joining me, and I really appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you soon, all right? Wow, this man left me without even saying goodbye. I had to put something there to make it seem cool. He is the Vince McMahon of our league. But anyways, guys, thank you again for joining me for another lovely episode. And I'm so sorry once again for the audio interference. I hope it was okay to put up with. But anyways, guys, just thank you again. I really do appreciate it. I will talk to you guys soon. All right, I love you guys. Bye.